So what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the official channel of the Combat Code. My name is Musa.
I'm Nick.
And we are two students. We go to the East Carolina University, and we're huge UFC fans, and we decided to start our own show. And today's the first episode. We want to welcome everyone. We want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Getting straight into the conversation today, we're going to start off with the upcoming card this weekend, Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. I just want to ask you, first of all, who do you think is going to take this fight, and why?
Well, I think it's going to be a really close fight. I think it's going to be a banger. I'm really excited for it. But personally, if I was a betting man, I think Darren Till is going to take it this weekend. At welterweight, he was a monster, but I think he's a whole different beast at middleweight. I think he's a championship caliber fighter, and I really think you're going to see him shine against Whittaker this weekend.
Personally, right, I think everyone right now is on Darren Till's side. And initially, I would have said Darren Till is going to win this fight. But I don't know if I've seen enough from Darren Till to be able to say he can beat someone like Robert Whittaker, who's like a former champion, who's managed to beat Romero twice. And he went all the way. And he did lose against Adesanya, but he's still like a talented fighter. I don't know how you feel about that, like in terms of...
I mean, Whittaker is a legit series champion. I mean, he's 8-1 in the middleweight division. He was undefeated before Adesanya. I mean, Whittaker is a legit, serious caliber fighter. I just think Darren Till, at welterweight, he was a beast. But I think that weight cut just did too much to hinder him instead of help him. And I think now that he's at middleweight, that extra 15, 16 pounds, not a championship fight, so 16 pounds that he can wiggle with. I really think he's in a...
Do you think if Whittaker can take the fight to the ground, do you think that Darren Till will have a chance? Because I feel like Darren Till is not really known for being able to grapple or wrestle. And I feel like Darren Till has that in his arsenal. And Whittaker has that in his arsenal. I feel like he could do that from the start. And I feel like if he can control the fight that way, I feel like Darren Till might be put off and might not be able to like win the fight, and he just might not come back. I mean, we've seen it many times, bro.
Well, I think Whittaker's going to have to wrestle to win this fight. I think Till has the advantage in the stand-up. Whittaker is probably a better wrestler. I mean, we're not know for sure.
And remember, wrestling, it's also a mental game. Like, while you're clinching, you're holding.
The whole fight game is mental. But I think you're going to see just both of them. I think you're going to see Whittaker try to strike with him, just like he tried to strike with Adesanya. And like I said, it could go either way. I wouldn't be shocked either way. But if I was a betting man, I'd have to go with Till.
Personally, I also think that Darren Till is definitely going to try to get into Robert Whittaker's head. We've seen it today from the face-off, how Darren Till just decided, like, I'm just going to not even look at the guy straight in the eye. And Whittaker was just standing there, and it kind of looked a little uncomfortable for me.
Well,
I was like, I don't know, bro.
Darren Till loves the mental games. I mean, he's been really funny on social media, really entertaining.
I don't know, man.
I saw a mix of like a John Jones Masvidal swagger today, from Till at the weigh-ins or the face-offs, you would say. I mean, the hands behind the back and not that's all Masvidal, and then not making eye contact with your opponent. That's always been Jones.
Yeah, but I feel like, don't you feel like it was unnatural? Like, I don't know. It just felt a little forced for me. And I feel like that might just like fuel Whittaker like even more to like try.
I feel like Whittaker doesn't really get involved in like the trash talking and like the mental game. Like Whittaker's always been very straightforward. I mean, who knows? I mean Whittaker, we don't know his mental state of mind, but Till, I think Till is trying to get in Whittaker's head. I don't think he will, but the face-off, it was interesting to watch.
And hypothetically speaking, now let's say Darren Till wins the fight. Who do you think is the next better contender? Like, who do you think is going to follow after that for either fighter? Actually, like, I feel like right now Adesanya is going to fight Costa, and that's going to be like one of the biggest fights, and whoever wins that is going to need a challenger afterwards.
Till if Whittaker
I don't know, do you think that they may do that, Darren Till versus Adesanya maybe, or Costa?
If Whittaker wins, I think you see them give Whittaker one more. If Till wins, the next fight is a title fight. Winner, no matter who wins, Adesanya, unless they do Adesanya Costa 2, which we don't know. That's a whole different conversation.
I don't know if that
I think Till gets the winner, especially if Adesanya wins. You're going to see Till Adesanya.
And if Whittaker wins, what happens then? Because Whittaker was the champion. He lost the belt to Adesanya. So you know how it is with the UFC, man. Like once you've lost that championship fight,
I think
if you can't defend, the chances of you getting another title fight are just.
I think if Costa wins, it's possible to see them do Whittaker-Costa. But if Adesanya wins, I think they're going to give Whittaker one more before they do a second match with. Because I mean, it sells, but
I don't see a Whittaker-Adesanya rematch.
I don't either. Whittaker needs to really make a statement if he really wants that fight.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we're also leaving out the fact that it could be like an insane fight. Like I feel like stylistically, both fighters, it's going to be entertaining.
I think it's going to be a great fight.
And I feel like we never know. It could be so good that we actually get a Till Whittaker too. So
I mean, down the line, maybe. Down the line, maybe.
Like
I mean,
it's something to look at.
I mean, yeah, you never know.
But yeah.
But moving on, but this card is really stacked this weekend, and what I'm actually really excited about is Gustafsson's debut to heavyweight.
Oh yeah, man. I can't wait for that. Gustafsson is definitely like one of my favorite fighters. Like in terms of like just watching him like fight, I feel like his boxing is on point, his footwork is on point, and I feel like this was the right move for him, considering. Light heavyweight, he was struggling. You know, John Jones still 20-1. We don't even want to count that one, but he's pretty much undefeated. And Gustafsson, I mean, I get that a lot of people could argue that he won the one fight against Jones,
the
but
first one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like this was the right move for him in terms of moving up.
I agree. It was
not gonna. I don't think he's gonna challenge again.
I agree. It was the right move. I'm disappointed it's not the co-main, that they're doing Shogun, Big Nog. I understand they're both legends, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, bro.
I think Gus Verdum should have been the co-main, in my opinion. But also, Gustafsson, out of all the UFC fighters in history that's never won a title, I feel like Gustafsson's the best fighter to never win a championship.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave DC a split decision run for his money, who's arguably one of the best fighters of all time, second best light heavyweight fighter of all time, possibly the best heavyweight fighter of all time. He went... You know, he had 2 fights against Jones. I mean, yeah, the second one he got finished, it wasn't even close. But the first fight was on some fight of the decade to some
that fight? What do you think, in your opinion? I mean, I would have gone with the tie.
You went with the draw.
Yeah, just straight up.
I mean, that fight was so close. I mean, it could have went either way to a draw. Any way that fight went, I would not have complained. Yeah. Jones won, of course. Jones won, but I wouldn't have. But I mean, that fight was. I mean, Ariel Helwani still says that fight's the fight of the decade, best fight of all time. I mean, it is. It was a great fight. I mean, but he's 0-3 in title fights in light heavyweight. He's not going to get another shot at the title, at least at light heavyweight. So heavyweight was the right move. I mean, mentally, I don't think he was there against Smith when he lost to Smith last year. So true. I'm really excited. And Verdum's a big name. He doesn't have to cut weight. He said, he was saying in the interview yesterday in Abu Dhabi that he really struggled to make 205. He's a big man, so I'm excited to see him at heavyweight and see what he does. Yeah,
I'm excited to see Gustafsson, but I feel like Verdum might just make it like a boring fight because I feel like Verdum, like in terms of stand-up, I don't know if he can go toe-to-toe with Gustafsson just because Gustafsson is so good at boxing. And we all know what Verdum's good at. He's good at jiu-jitsu. He's going to look for the grapples. He's going to look for submissions. And I feel like that's Gustafsson's weakness, if you may say. I mean, we've never really seen him get like exposed in that way. But I feel like Verdum, that's going to be the plan for him. Plus, he's older, so I feel like he may tire out quicker. Think about it. Another thing is Gustafsson's had all this rest, so he hasn't like been taking any shots. He hasn't been like...
Which rest is good. I mean, look, if Verdum's going to win, I think it would be by submission. I mean, I don't see Verdum knocking Gustafsson. Like I said, it's a fight. Anything could happen. But Verdum's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the heavyweight division history. So, I mean, yeah, but he's also old now. He's in his, mid-40s. But, yeah, Verdum, I don't know. Gustafsson's a huge favorite in this fight. I think Gustafsson's going to take it. But...
I don't know, man. I think... Another thing that I would say, right now... especially in the heavyweight division, I feel like there is a bit of an opening just because everyone knows that Stipe and Cormier 3 is coming up, and win or lose, Cormier is retiring. So I feel like there is a bit of a path for Gustafsson. Gustafsson, if he wins this fight, he could just have like a good path towards like actually fighting for the title at heavyweight, depending on how he does. But he definitely has about 3 more fights ahead of him. I mean, after Verdum's nice to get a title shot, he still he'll get a top 15 guy after Verdum if he wins for sure. If he chooses to stick around at heavyweight, but Ngannou's next. You got Blades. I mean, there's a lot of tough competition ahead of him. Yeah. All right. moving on to the next topic. I want to talk about my favorite fighter. She's a female, Rose Namajunas. We saw a fight at UFC 251. She took on Andrade. It was a great fight.
The rematch, that was a great fight. That was a great fight.
I thought she looked really good. Her stand-up always, like, she's such a great, like, boxer. Her movement, she managed to keep distance well, and one thing she managed to do was stay away from the big shots from Andrade. And I feel like closer to the third round, that's when, like, Andrade started landing, and you could tell by the damage. I mean, she broke her nose. She had to get nose surgery for that. I mean,
personally, I think when Rose is fully mentally healthy, because she had 2 close deaths from COVID. She had a lot. Mentally, she didn't enjoy being a champion. She was saying, I think when Rose,
she was supposed to fight, right? Remember
So, and
then she just canceled.
So I think besides Wei Li, I think when Rose is 100% mentally healthy and there, I think Rose is the best fighter in the division.
So you think right now Wei Li is better than Rose?
I think Wei Li is 100%.
I feel like that's the next thing, right?
I think Wei Li is 100% next for Rose. I think Rose versus Wei Li is the fight they're going to make next. Rose is a big name. She's back. Wei Li needs a big name, needs a fight. I mean, she just had the fight of the year candidate with Joanna. But I definitely think they're going to do Rose Wei Li next. But I think Wei Li's going to take it. I mean, it could go either way. But like I said, betting man, I'm going to go with Wei Li. I think Wei Li's just a whole different beast.
I don't know, man. Rose is my girl. Like, I will always, like, say Rose is going to win. Like, if ever I have to pick someone, it's always Rose. But I've seen Wei Li, and she is an animal. Like, her last fight against Joanna was just crazy.
Insanity.
In my opinion,
Insanity.
I would say, like, it's going to go in the Hall of Fame for, like...
Oh, it's easily the Hall of Fame. That's the best female fight. I mean, it was one of the best fights of all time, male or female. But I'm saying as far as just female, that was the best female fight of all time.
Like, I feel like that fight showed us, like, how good Wei Li actually is. Because she's been, like, pretty much destroying opponents.
Joanna's a Muay Thai champion, and she stood with Joanna the whole time, and she played her game. I mean, it was a close fight, but but Wei Li got it. I mean, Wei Li's the real deal.
I feel like the way Wei Li is, like, her mentality in terms of, like, it's like a never say die type of attitude. Like, I watch her, I follow her on social media. Everyone's seen the videos. The way she works, man, is, like, insane. Like, I feel like she's probably, like, the hardest working, like, UFC female athlete out there, maybe even male, because I just feel like mentally she's just on another level compared to, like, all the other females, and, like, physically as well. I feel like she's genetically, like, fighting is good. Like, it suits her body suits fighting. Like, I feel like she can take hits. I mean, you saw the Joanna fight, how they were both hitting each other, but you saw in the end, like, what Joanna looked like compared to what Wei Li looked like. She had that huge ass hematoma. Like, everyone was making memes about it. Like, I mean, also, like she's just a different.
I agree with you. I think mentally, Wei Li is just on a different level, especially because Joanna in the women's divisions across the board has the best mental game. Yeah. I mean, she gets in your head. I mean, Joanna, Rose.
We saw that whole COVID meme.
I mean, she was doing COVID, like really poor humor COVID memes. I mean,
that was kind of below the belt.
Yeah, coming for Wei Li's national. I mean, Joanna mentally. I mean, her mental game is just, up there, getting in your head. And I mean, Wei Li, I think she like a championship caliber fighter. She held herself with that level too, and especially the way she handled the situation with the COVID. How she told Joanna, people in my country are dying, and you make jokes. I think she handled it perfectly. She went out there, proved her point. Beat Joanna, and I mean, I think Wei Li's a real deal.
Yeah, I also feel like, actually, just to touch on that topic, like, her level of professionalism, like, even after the fight, she, like, went and shook her hand, which shows, like, it's all business for her. I feel like
it's all business, like, and she didn't let it get personal.
It's a job for her, and she takes it seriously. Like, she's not about to go into a fight, like, underprepared. She's going to be 100% ready, like, and I feel like we could potentially see a knockout during that fight. I feel we could.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. You could see knockout.
Because I don't see grappling happening. I don't see any clinching.
I would be surprised if there was a lot of grappling in the Rose, because Rose is a striker, Wei Li's a striker. I think it's going to be also. I think Rose versus Wei Li is going to be a very entertaining fight.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like we got to get to this guy, like, especially at this part of the show, just because he's been the talk of the town. For the past few months, everybody's been talking about him. He is the BMF champion right now, Jorge Masvidal. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. What do you think of that fight between him and Usman? First of all, do you think it was a good idea for him to actually like go into the fight? I mean, yeah, I get that he does train and he's, you know what I mean, he's an athlete, he's always fit, but like I feel like he didn't have like a chance to actually get a proper training camp in. It was last minute. I mean, Burns with COVID. Like, do you think it was a good decision?
I think Masvidal was in a no-lose situation. It was a great idea for him to take that fight.
Because I feel like Masvidal is one fighter who's always going on about like, oh yeah, I've worked so hard. Like, how many years in the game? Like 17 years in the game. He came from the bottom, like literally from the bottom, and he's worked so hard. In my opinion, right? You work so hard to climb the ladder, right? And you get to the top, and then when you finally get to the top, and he gets that title shot, what does he do? He goes into the fight underprepared. A lot of people might say underprepared. I mean, we saw the fight. We saw it win. First round, he came out guns blazing, looking for the knockout, obviously because clearly he knew in his head that he's not going to last 5 rounds with Usman. Usman's an animal. And I feel like anyone who works that hard to get to where they want to get, and then when they finally get there, they just like kind of let it slip. Like, do you think... I feel like it was a money grab, bro. And I feel like does 100% he really need was the money right now like that?
Here's the thing. Back in the day when he used to do backyard fights with Kimbo Slice, he was fighting for $50 on an hour notice. I mean, if you've seen his videos. And the only reason he wasn't fighting Usman originally was the money. And the fact that it sold 1.3 million and all he wanted was pay-per-view and they gave him the deal for pay-per-view. And like you see even in the podcast, in his videos after the fight, after he lost, and they talk... He has a smile on his face. He's like, I got paid. I'm rich. He was in a no-lose situation. The amount of money he made on that fight, 1.3 million was getting pay-per-view. That's like Conor money. Like he made money.
Like brings me to another thing that now that I mean the UFC has always made it clear that only champions get pay-per-view money, right? And now Masvidal negotiated and they let him have pay-per-view money, and he's not a champion. Well, he is the BMF champion, but not an official.
That's not a
So I feel like does that not like kind of make the UFC like look like hypocrites? Because I feel like now that opens up the door for other fighters to be like, hey, if I'm, for example, let's talk about a big fighter who's coming up and he seems like he's going to become a star. Let's talk about someone like Sean O'Malley, who's clearly like racking up the numbers. And I feel like fighters like that who you can see there's a clear path to stardom, like that opens up the door for them to start like negotiating for pay-per-view. I mean, I'm all for it because I want the fighters to get paid. But at the same time, like, does that not seem a little unfair to you? Like, just because it's Masvidal, all of a sudden. I mean, yeah, he's been fighting, you know, he's trying to fight his contract, but he's the same person who signed a couple months back, and now he's complaining about money, and then he's the same guy who's fighting again. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think everything lined up perfectly for Masvidal to get, because this was a one-off. His contract for Usman to get pay-per-view, that was a one-off. He's not going to get pay-per-view again for his next fight. And also...
what about the other fighters now as well?
They don't sell 1.3 million.
But I mean, we could say that, but at the same time, do we have a guarantee that like nobody knew he was going to sell 1.3?
UFC knew who's going to... think about it. The whole 6 days notice, Fight Island, Masvidal, BMF, that sell. They knew it was going to sell over $1 million.
Because I feel like they knew maybe, but at the same time, it's like Masvidal and Usman have been going back and forth. We've seen it in public. We've seen it on the socials. Like, they almost fighting outside the ring. And I feel like they just have, like, a natural, like, hatred for each other. Like, even after the fight...
It's just business.
I mean, I was surprised to see after the fight when they kind of, like, shook each other's hands or, like, hugged or whatever.
Most of the time, they definitely look Conor and Nate.
Do you think it was a tactic?
I mean, look, they're fighters. If they understand it's a business, they have to promote a fight. I mean, that's what... I mean, do you really think Nate and Conor hate each other? Like, do you think they... It's just business. They're trying to make money. Masvidal understands this business. He wants money. That was the whole issue. I mean, and him taking the fight, he was in a no-lose situation. I don't think anyone really thought Masvidal was going to win.
Yeah, that is true. To be honest, I never saw that. The numbers don't lie either. Everyone was betting on Usman to win. Like, the odds were in his favor. And plus, he had a whole training camp. He knew he was going to fight. He was ready. And I feel like Usman is one of those fighters who, like, is also, like, very professional. Like, he's all business. I get that he made it a boring fight, you know, the whole shoulder thing and the whole, like, feet stomping, which, personally, I feel like that whole stomping on someone's foot should be illegal. Like, I get it's not a street fight, but I don't think that's right. But yeah, he made it ugly, and he got the W, and he got paid. But I feel like that in a way is kind of going to decrease his stock because that was kind of boring.
His fight with Burns is next. Like Burns is next 100%.
And you can't do that to Burns.
But Burns,
Burns will be ready.
I mean, Burns is a jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think Burns is going to be a much more competitive fight. But
yeah.
I mean, but him and Burns aren't going to sell. At their main event, they're not going to sell. They're not even going to sell half 1.3 million.
Burns is like kind of not. He's not
Usman,
a star. He's just a good fighter, but he's not a star.
Masvidal was the only reason that sold 1.3 million.
But in my opinion, right, I feel like as much as everyone says, like Burns and Usman wouldn't sell, I feel like Burns would still be like a good fight.
Competitively, it's going to be a good fight, yes.
Entertaining. And I feel like the UFC right now, all these Brazilians that are coming through, like even Oliveira, like all of them are just really, really good. And I feel like that Brazilian fan base is going to be backing them, and they could potentially make like a lot of money as well from that.
But they've always had, really big Brazilian stars. And Burns isn't a Brazilian star. I mean, they've had plenty of Brazilian. I mean, look, Andrade's Brazil. I'm just saying, Usman Burns is not even going to sell close to 1 million. Not even close.
So, what do you think then? Once the Burns fight, obviously, Usman is going to take place. That's a given.
That's a given. Dana White already confirmed that's a given, yes.
What's next for Masvidal? Because I feel like now he's kind of lost the fight, and he was on the come up, even against Nate. He won that fight, but obviously it was cut short because of the whole injury. But what's next for Masvidal? Because now, in which direction do you go now that he's lost? Because now that as well, Woodley is going to fight
Colby. And Masvidal said he won't fight Colby. He won't give him
Colby's the number 2 in the world?
I think Colby's number 2, Masvidal's 3.
So
Gilbert's 1.
So now what's next for him?
Leon, I think the really only option right now, they're not going to do Nate 2 because however that fight goes, at
do you think there's a possibility that he fights Conor?
No. He had to win. He had to beat Usman to fight Conor. Think about it. If Masvidal beat Usman, had the welterweight strap, and then Conor came back to challenge Masvidal for the welterweight title, that sells 3 million.
I feel like
that sells 3 million.
I feel like.
But
if you want to cash in, Conor's very unpredictable. One day he's fighting, the next day he's retired, the next day he hates
the next
day he wants a piece of the UFC.
But Masvidal had to win.
I don't know, man. I feel like
they want that Khabib rematch.
Wouldn't you want to cash in?
Yeah, but you burn one of them. Well, here's the thing, though. If you keep them separate, if you keep Conor at 155 and he fights the winner of Gaethje, Khabib, because no matter who wins Gaethje, Khabib, right? Even let's say Gaethje wins and Conor fights Gaethje, huge fight. If Conor wins, then Khabib has to go to Conor. Masvidal at welterweight, you could now cash in on, because he's the biggest star in welterweight, you could cash on him at welterweight. If you do them together, you're going to burn one of them. Because if Masvidal wins, yeah, he beat Conor, but Conor's just the biggest name right now, but he's not substance. Where then if Conor beats Masvidal, it doesn't do anything for him either. It's just a cash fight. Where if you keep them separate, you can cash in on both.
And now, say hypothetically speaking, that happens. Masvidal versus Edwards, right?
Which I think that's the most logical.
That's the most logical
fight.
Because Edwards deserves a big fight,
and he's number 4.
And he couldn't fight because of the whole COVID thing, and he couldn't fly back and all that.
Or Edwards is number 5. I think maybe he's number 5 or 6. I think Woodley's ahead of Edwards, but still, Edwards is the top.
Woodley right now is not looking good.
And he's not looking good. He's going to fight Colby. So, Edwards is the top closest guy to Masvidal to fight in the division.
True. And if hypothetically speaking, if Edwards beats Masvidal, then that raises
his
a lot of questions. Too. It raises a lot of questions.
And he deserves it. He deserves it.
That's going to make Masvidal look like a fraud now if he loses 2 in a row. Especially after all that talk and after all that, I feel like his leverage is gonna go down, because if he loses another fight, it's gonna look bad. Because think about it this way: Masvidal hasn't really peaked in terms of beating champions and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, he knocked out. He gave what's his name?
He knocked out Darren Till. He knocked out Askren.
The knee, Askren. Yeah, I feel like that fight made Masvidal made him look better than he actually is.
I mean, it was one of the greatest knockouts you ever see. And that fight was huge.
If he loses to Edwards,
Well, I think it's the most logical fight. Edwards deserves it because Edwards is the real deal.
I just want to see that Conor Masvidal fight. I want to see the catch. Bro.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna. Masvidal had to win, but Edwards is on an 8-fight win streak. His last loss was to Usman 4 years ago. I mean, he's the dark horse of the division. He was supposed to fight Woodley. I mean, Edwards deserves a big fight. They could also get the 3-piece Minnesota from when they brawled in the back. That's a big selling point. I mean, and I think if Edwards wins, he's right in line for a title shot. If Masvidal wins, then he's also again right. It makes the most sense, that fight.
All right, that's true. I guess, man, it's real interesting times right now.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to see how this plays out.
I'm glad that Dana managed to hook up the whole Fight Island thing. I feel like it was a great idea.
UFC really. Insane how they pulled this off.
That's like kind of like a game changer for sports now because Dana White has clearly separated himself as like one of the best
promoters of all time.
Yeah, fight promoters like in the game.
Business, the UFC. I mean, the way that they pulled this off. I mean, no other fight, no other sports business fight. No one has done what the UFC has done during the pandemic. No one.
I think right now we needed this, and I feel like the fans are going crazy, and I feel like it's going to be interesting times. It's going to be insane. But yeah, that brings us to the end of our show today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the fights this weekend. I'm looking forward to the fights for the rest of Fight Island. We just want you guys to follow, like, subscribe. Please, as well, just leave some comments down below. Tell us what you think. Tell us who your fight predictions are. And tell us give us some topics about what you guys would like us to talk about as well. Thank you.